Commander Rex stood in front of the observation window and looked at the readings on his screen. The numbers did not make sense. His three arms moved across the control panel, checking the same data over and over. The object floating in front of them should not be there. A Class 3 Deathworld ship. That was what the scanner said. A place where the gravity crushed things. A place where the air burned your lungs. A place where the storms tore apart metal and bone. Yet there it was. A massive ship hanging in the black. The hull was scarred and torn. There were holes in the sides where explosions had ripped through the metal. Radiation leaked from broken sections. The electromagnetic readings were so high they made the sensors jump and flicker. Commander Vrex's three eyes studied the vessel. He had served in the fleet for 30 years. He had seen many things, but he had never seen a ship like this one. The ship was not Kethrum. It was not from the Methane Collective. It was not from any species he could identify from the design. The metal was wrong. The structure was wrong. The technology signatures were incomplete, like someone had started to build a proper vessel and then stopped halfway through. But the Class 3 designation was clear on the hull. The marking was not new. It had been there for a long time. Lieutenant Kevin Hart came to stand next to him. Kevin was younger than Rex, but he was a good officer. His skin was still bright with youth. His movements were sharp and quick. He looked at the readings and made a soft sound of worry. "The environment is Class 3? Kevin asked. "But the ship is still functional?" "The ship is floating," Rex said. "Functional is another question. We do not know." Dr. Amanda Foster entered the observation deck. She carried her scanner, and her three optical organs were bright with interest. Amanda was a scientist. She did not think about danger the way soldiers did. She thought about questions. She thought about things she did not understand. Right now, she was very interested. "I want to board it," Amanda said. It was not a request. Rex did not answer right away. He looked at the ship again. The holes in the hull. The broken sections. The radiation that made the air around it shimmer and bend. A proper military commander would say no. A proper commander would move away and report this thing to the council. A proper commander would not risk his people. But Rex had always been a curious man. That was probably why he was still alive. Curiosity made him careful. It made him think about things before he did them. "We take a small team," Rex said. "Full armor. Full medical support. Scanner equipment only. We look. We do not touch anything unless we understand it first. And if anything seems wrong, we leave immediately." Kevin nodded. He began to organize the team. Amanda smiled her three-way smile and started to prepare her instruments. Within 30 minutes, the boarding crew was ready. They wore heavy armor that covered everything. The suits had their own air supply, their own radiation shielding, their own communication systems. If the Class 3 environment tried to kill them, the suits would keep them alive for at least 2 hours. The airlock of the Catherine ship cycled. Kevin stepped forward first. His armor boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. Behind him came Amanda and 2 medical officers. Then came 6 soldiers with weapons, though Rex suspected the weapons would be useless in this kind of environment. If the Class 3 designation was correct, then nothing would help them except luck and skill. The shuttle detached from the main ship and moved toward the derelict vessel. Kevin watched through the window as they got closer. The damage became clearer. This ship had been through something violent. Not just storms. Not just the environment. Combat. That much Kevin could see. The marks on the hull were from weapons. There were blast patterns. There were impact marks. Someone had shot at this ship and hit it hard. The shuttle docked at a damaged airlock. The connection was unstable, and the equipment groaned as it locked into place. Kevin raised his hand, and the team checked their armor one more time. Every seal was tight. Every system was working. They were as ready as they could be. The airlock opened. The light inside was dim and colored strange. It was blue and green, and sometimes red. The radiation created colors in the air. The atmosphere inside the ship was toxic, just as the designation said. Kevin's suit told him the composition: methane, sulfur compounds, things that would burn and corrode. The gravity was wrong too. Too heavy. Too much pressure, pushing down on everything. Kevin moved forward slowly. His team followed. Their footsteps made sounds in the empty corridors. The ship was silent except for the hum of failing systems. Some lights still worked. Some sections still had power. Somewhere deep inside the vessel, machines were still running, trying to do their jobs even though everything around them was broken. Amanda's scanner worked overtime. She recorded everything: the radiation levels, the atmospheric composition, the structural integrity, the location of power sources. Her 3 eyes moved constantly, looking at the data and looking at the ship. They reached a main corridor. And that is when Amanda made a sound of surprise. "There is something ahead," she said. "In the observation deck. Life signs." Kevin stopped. The soldiers raised their weapons, but there was nothing to shoot at. Not yet. They moved forward carefully, checking every shadow, every corner, every piece of broken equipment. The observation deck was large and open. Viewports showed the Class 3 environment outside. Storms raged against the glass. Lightning struck constantly. Wind that could tear apart mountains pushed against the hull. It was horrible and violent and deadly. And there, on the floor of the observation deck, 8 figures lay sleeping. They were not Kethron. They were not any species Kevin had ever seen before. They were bipedal. They had hair. Their skin was exposed to the air inside their suits, which should have been impossible in this environment. But they were breathing. Their chests rose and fell. Their biosignatures registered clearly on the scanners. They were alive. They were resting. They were calm. Kevin did not understand. No creature could survive the Class 3 environment without protection. No creature could rest peacefully in the middle of a death world. No creature would choose to sleep in a broken ship, surrounded by radiation and storms. But these 8 creatures were doing exactly that. Amanda moved her scanner over them. The readings came back and she made a sound that Kevin had never heard before. It was shock mixed with disbelief, mixed with scientific wonder. "Their biology is unusual," Amanda said. "Very dense, very strong, very efficient. The radiation should have killed them. The atmosphere should have burned their lungs. But their bodies are handling it. Not easily, but they are handling it." One of the creatures moved slightly. Its eyes began to open. It saw the armored figures standing over it and seemed to understand immediately what had happened. It did not panic. It did not try to run. It simply sat up slowly and looked at them with clear, dark eyes. "Welcome," the creature said, and its voice was calm and strong. "I am Lucas. These are my crew. You are the first to board this ship without trying to kill us immediately. That is good. That means we can probably talk about this like intelligent beings instead of enemies." Kevin did not know what to say. Neither did Amanda. Neither did any of the soldiers. They had expected danger. They had expected combat. They had expected death. They had not expected to find something sitting up and greeting them so calmly in the middle of a Class 3 death world environment, speaking words that made perfect sense in a reality that made no sense at all. Lucas stood up slowly. He was tall and broad, and his skin showed the marks of many injuries healed. The other creatures woke one by one. They did not rush. They did not show fear. They simply opened their eyes and sat up and looked at the armored visitors with the same calm awareness that Lucas had shown. A woman with red hair and strong shoulders stood next. Her name was Grace, and she moved like someone who had learned to be efficient with every action. Then came Daniel, a man with scars on his face and arms. Then Patrick, whose muscles were thick and heavy. Then Victoria, whose dark eyes missed nothing. Robert, whose movements were careful and controlled. Susan, who seemed older than the others, but no less strong. And finally Christopher, the youngest, who still carried the wariness of someone who had seen too much too young. Kevin's hand stayed ready on his weapon. His training said to be prepared for anything. But his instincts said that these creatures meant no immediate harm. They had weapons available. Kevin could see them on racks near the walls. But the creatures made no move toward the weapons. They simply stood and waited. "We mean no threat," Kevin said. His suit's translator began to work, converting his sounds into forms that the creatures could understand. "We are explorers from the Catherine species. This is Dr. Amanda Foster. We are here only to investigate." Lucas smiled. It was a strange expression. Not hostile, not completely friendly, just something in between. "Investigate," Lucas repeated. That is what the last group said too. Before they started shooting at us, anyway. Amanda made a sound of worry. "You have been in combat?" "Combat and other things," Grace said. Her voice was steady and without anger. "The Vex came first. They did not believe we could survive here. They tried to kill us to take the ship. That lasted 2 days. Then came the Mylar. They wanted the technology. That was worse because they were smarter about it. Then came 3 different salvage crews from 3 different species. None of them believed that we had any right to this ship because we were not from any major civilization." Patrick stepped forward. He was not aggressive, but his presence filled the room. "We have been on this ship for 4 months," Patrick said. "We have defended it. We have repaired it. We have kept it functioning in an environment that kills everything that is not tough enough or smart enough to survive. And we have done all of this while trying to figure out how to get to Theta System without being destroyed by every species that thinks they can take what is ours." Dr. Amanda lowered her weapon. Kevin did not copy her. He was trained to be more careful. "Where are you from?" Amanda asked. "I have never encountered your species before. Your biology is unusual." Lucas gestured toward the viewports. Outside, the Class 3 storms continued to rage. Lightning painted the sky in white and blue. "We are from Earth," Lucas said. "A planet that makes this place look like a peaceful garden. Everything on Earth wants to kill you. The weather, the animals, the plants. Even the ground tries to kill you because it is always moving and shaking. We evolved in that environment. It made us hard. It made us patient. It made us smart about problems, because if you are not smart on Earth, you die." Daniel walked to one of the walls and opened a panel. Inside was technology that Kevin did not immediately recognize. But the modifications were clear. Someone had taken salvaged equipment and rebuilt it into something new. The work was skillful. The engineering was clever. "We found this ship floating near a dead colony," Daniel said. "The species that built it tried to establish a settlement on Kepler-4 52e, Class 3, environment just like the designation says. Except that Class 3 is not the same for humans as it is for other species." They did not understand that. 70 days. That is how long their colony lasted. By the time we arrived, they were all dead. The environment had killed them. The ship was abandoned. Victoria added more information. "We are salvagers and problem solvers. We take contracts for work that other species say is impossible. The Methane Collective has a station in Theta System that is in trouble. They want experienced workers. That is where we are headed. Kevin understood then. These creatures were not invaders. They were not criminals. They were workers. They were people who had learned to survive in the worst conditions possible, and who had decided to use that skill to make their way in the galaxy. "How long have you been traveling?" Kevin asked. 2 years, Susan said. She was the oldest, and her voice carried the weight of that experience. 2 years since we left Earth. We have been to 7 systems. We have solved 3 major problems for various species. We have lost 2 team members to accidents and mistakes. We have learned 1,000 things about how the galaxy works and how species think about beings they do not understand. Christopher spoke then. His voice was quieter than the others, but his words were clear. The biggest problem is that most species think strength comes from weapons or technology or numbers. Humans are strong because we do not die easily. Because we think clearly when everything is falling apart. Because we keep trying when everything tells us to give up. Amanda moved her scanner closer to Lucas. He did not move away. He seemed almost amused by the examination. "Your cellular density is very high," Amanda said. "Your muscle composition is unusual. Your blood chemistry is aggressive. It would be toxic to most carbon-based life forms." "Yes," Lucas said. "That is one of the reasons other species do not want us living near them. Our biology is incompatible with theirs. Our waste is toxic. Our breath carries compounds that corrode certain materials. We do not make good neighbors in close quarters. But out here in the black, working on death worlds and broken ships, we are exactly what is needed." Kevin looked at the 8 humans standing in the broken ship. He looked at their calm faces and their ready posture. He looked at the ship around them, damaged and hostile and absolutely deadly to most life forms. And he understood something that few in the wider galaxy would understand until it was too late. These creatures were not afraid. Not because they were brave in the way warriors understood bravery. They were not afraid because this environment, this deadly Class 3 place, was actually easier than the world they had evolved on. To a human, a broken ship on a death world was just another job. Another problem. Another day of work in a life made difficult by the planet they had been born on. Kevin slowly lowered his weapon. "We should speak with Commander Vrex," Kevin said. "I think you have things we need to understand. And the wider galaxy needs to understand what humans are." 3 days passed. The humans remained on the Kethrin ship as guests rather than prisoners. They ate in the galley. They shared information with the crew. They answered questions from curious officers and scientists. And they slowly earned the respect of every being they encountered. Kevin found himself spending time with Grace. She told him about Earth. She told him about what it was like to live on a planet that was always trying to kill you. She told him about the beauty of watching the sunset over mountains that had stood for millions of years. She told him about human families and human love, and human dreams of building something that would last beyond their own lives. Amanda spent her time examining the humans at the biological level. She took samples with permission. She studied their cellular structure. She discovered remarkable things. Human immune systems were aggressive. They attacked pathogens that would have made other species ill for weeks. Human healing was efficient. Wounds closed faster. Infections were fought off quicker. Human adaptation to environment was not immediate, but it was real. Give a human time in a new environment, and their body would begin to adjust. Rex spent his time with Lucas. The 2 commanders discussed strategy. They discussed how to survive in a hostile galaxy. They discussed how to build something that would last. They discussed the philosophy of leadership and responsibility. Lucas told Rex about human history. He told him about wars that had killed millions, about mistakes that humans had made repeatedly, about how humans had learned from those mistakes slowly and with difficulty. He told Rex that humans were not perfect, that humanity had great capacity for both cooperation and cruelty, that humans were working on becoming better versions of themselves. "We are flawed," Lucas said. "This is important to understand. We are not superior because we are perfect. We are just different. Our flaws are different. Our strengths are different. We will make mistakes here in the galaxy, just like we made mistakes on Earth. But we will learn. We always learn." Rex found this honesty unusual. Most species try to present themselves as having no weaknesses. Humans simply acknowledge their weaknesses and describe them as part of their nature. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. A distress signal came from the Theta system. A research station was experiencing a catastrophic failure. Life support was failing. Emergency systems were not responding. The station had a population of 3,000 beings of various species. They would die in 72 hours if the problem was not fixed. The closest ship with any chance of helping was the Catherine vessel. But Rex had a limited crew and limited time to reach the station. The journey would take 24 hours. That would leave only 48 hours to diagnose and fix the problem. The engineers on the station had already tried everything they knew. They were asking for experienced problem solvers. They were asking for anything that might work. Rex looked at the message twice. Then he looked at Lucas. "You can help," Rex said. "Your crew has experience fixing broken ships in difficult environments." "Not our problem," Patrick said from where he stood watching the communications. "Not our contract. Not our responsibility. 3,000 beings will die," Rex said. Lucas stood up. His face showed no emotion, but his voice was firm. "And that matters to you because they are your species?" Lucas asked. "No," Rex said. "I do not know most of them. They are from many species. I have never met any of them. But they are alive, and they are asking for help." Lucas looked at his crew. Each human looked at the others. Some kind of communication happened without words. Some kind of agreement was reached. Lucas turned back to Rex. "We will help," Lucas said. "But first, tell them to reduce all non-essential systems. Tell them to conserve power. Tell them to prepare to receive external assistance. And tell them that help is coming." Rex transmitted the message immediately. On the station, in Theta system, 3,000 beings heard that rescue was on the way. Hope returned to a desperate situation. The Catherine ship and the human vessel moved together toward Theta system. The human ship was faster despite its damage. It moved ahead while the Catherine vessel followed. When the human ship arrived at the station, Daniel and Robert suited up and moved outside to examine the damage. What they found was a cascade failure. The main power system had suffered damage during a meteor strike. The backup systems had failed because they had not been properly maintained. The life support was connected to systems that were no longer functional. Fixing it would require delicate work in an environment that was dangerous and hostile. Robert assessed the situation with the calm of someone who had seen similar problems before. "We can fix this," Robert told the station commander through the communication system. "But we need to be outside the hull. We need access to the power coupling systems. And we need time." The station commander agreed. Robert and Daniel moved outside. They worked for 6 hours straight, making repairs and modifications, bypassing damaged systems, rerouting power through alternate paths. It was dangerous work. The vacuum around them was cold and empty. One mistake would result in death. They worked anyway. Slowly, the life support systems began to respond. Power returned. Light returned. The temperature stabilized. The air became breathable again. Life was preserved. When Robert and Daniel returned to the human ship, the station commander sent a message of gratitude. The humans had saved 3,000 lives. The humans had solved a problem that no other species could solve quickly enough to matter. Rex understood then what would happen. Word of this rescue would spread. The reputation of humans would grow. Other species would begin to seek out human help for their impossible problems. This would either lead to humanity being accepted and integrated into galactic society, or it would lead to fear and opposition. Most likely it would lead to both. Some species would see humans as valuable. Others would see humans as threats. But either way, the age of human obscurity was over. The humans had demonstrated what they could do. The galaxy could not ignore them anymore. The Kethrin ship had a conference room near the main bridge. Commander Vrex sat at the head of the table and looked at the 8 humans who sat across from him. They had been allowed to remove their salvage suits. Underneath, they wore simple clothing made from materials that looked crude but clearly lasted. Their skin showed the marks of a life lived in harsh conditions. Scars, burns, marks that would have killed most other beings. On humans, they were just part of existence. Kevin and Amanda sat on either side of Rex. Medical officers monitored the humans from a distance. But so far, there had been no biological incompatibility. The humans were breathing the recycled air of the Kethrin ship without difficulty. They had eaten food brought from the galley and reported that it was strange but acceptable. "Tell me about Earth," Rex said. He did not make it a request. Lucas leaned back in his chair. He seemed comfortable, which was strange. Most beings who found themselves on a Kethrin ship would be nervous. Humans, apparently, or not most beings. Earth is a planet that does not want life, Lucas began. The gravity is high. The weather is extreme. Temperatures range from below freezing to dangerous heat. Storms produce winds that move faster than some spacecraft. Lightning strikes regularly. Rain floods. Snow buries. Hail damages. Earthquakes shake the ground. Volcanoes erupt. There are over 30,000 species of animals, and most of them are predators or scavengers. There are plants with toxins. There are insects that carry diseases. There are bacteria that will kill you if you are not careful. The sun gives off radiation that burns. The water is full of things that bite and sting. Amanda made a sound of disbelief. And humans evolved there? We did not just evolve there, Grace said. We became the top predator. We became the species that controlled the planet. We did this with intelligence and teamwork, and the ability to keep trying even when everything was failing. Daniel explained more details. Human children take 16 years to mature. During that time, they learn thousands of skills. They learn to hunt. They learn to make tools. They learn to cooperate. They learn to plan. They learn to remember information and pass it to the next generation. By the time a human is an adult, they are a generalist. They can do many things. They can solve many kinds of problems. Patrick added information about human strength. We are not the strongest species on Earth, but we are efficient with our strength. We have endurance that most predators do not have. We can run for long distances. We can work for long hours without stopping. We can recover from wounds that would be fatal to most animals. We can function with injuries that would make other species useless. Victoria described human awareness. We see in a way that lets us understand distance and speed and trajectory. We can throw projectiles with accuracy that most species cannot match. We can coordinate our attacks. We can plan for things that have not happened yet. We can imagine futures and prepare for them. Robert spoke about human adaptability. We live on every continent of Earth, in jungles and deserts and frozen lands and grasslands and mountains. We live in caves and in open air. We build shelters that protect us. We make clothes that keep us warm or cool. We create tools that extend our abilities. We solve problems by making better tools and better methods. Susan talked about human cooperation. We work in groups. A single human can do a little. A family can do more. A tribe can do much more. Thousands of humans working together can move mountains and change rivers and build structures that last thousands of years. We are weak alone, but strong together. Christopher, the youngest, spoke about human determination. We do not stop. If something does not work, we try something else. If a plan fails, we make a new plan. If we fail, we get back up. We keep trying. This is not learned. This is bred into us by evolution. Rex listened to all of this and felt something he had not expected. Respect. Deep respect. This species had not inherited technology from an older species. They had not been given weapons and tools by a galactic council. They had created everything from nothing in an environment so hostile that it would have killed most life forms immediately. But why are you here? Rex asked. Why leave Earth? Lucas answered simply. Because there is a wider galaxy. Because there are problems that need solving. Because we are good at solving them. And because Earth is now home to billions of humans. We do not all need to live there anymore. Some of us choose to work elsewhere. To build lives in new places. To use our skills where they are needed. Amanda asked a practical question. How many humans are in space? Millions, Grace said. Most are in stations or ships. Some are on other planets. The numbers grow every year. More humans leave Earth. More humans are born in space. Earth culture spreads. Earth values spread. Earth ways of solving problems spread. Kevin felt something shift in the conversation. This was not just about 8 humans in a broken ship. This was about the beginning of something larger. Something that would change the galaxy in ways that were not yet clear. You work for money? Amanda asked. For currency, yes, Patrick said. We work contracts. We complete jobs. We get paid. We use the payment to buy supplies and fuel and repair our ship. We save money for future investments. Some humans want to build permanent settlements. Some want to own trading companies. Some want to explore further. Rex stood up and walked to a window. He looked out at the human ship. The damaged Class 3 vessel that somehow remained functional. The ship that humans had salvaged and repaired and made into something useful. And this ship? Rex asked. Where did it come from originally? Vex Collective, Daniel said. They tried to establish a mining colony on Kepler 452e. They did not understand that they were not tough enough for the environment. We arrived after the colony had failed. The remaining crew of the ship was dying. We helped them. We tried to save them. But their biology was too fragile for that environment. You helped them? Amanda asked with surprise. Yes, Lucas said. Even though they had tried to kill us. Even though their species had tried to harm humans before. We help because that is what you do. You help. You try to save life. This is humanity. We are the species that will help even the enemy. Rex turned around and looked at Lucas directly. That makes you very dangerous, Rex said. Not because you have weapons, but because you have purpose. You have direction. You have survival instinct combined with moral responsibility. The galaxy will not know what to do with this combination. Susan smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was realistic. We know, Susan said. We have already discovered that most species do not understand human values. They think we are weaknesses because we show mercy. They think we are threats because we do not give up. They think we are strange because we cooperate even when we are competing. This causes problems. What kind of problems? Rex asked. The kind that result in combat, Victoria said. The kind that result in species declaring that humans cannot be trusted or allowed to expand further. the kind that result in alliances against humanity. We have already experienced this twice. We expect it to continue. Christopher added a conclusion. The wider galaxy will have to decide if they accept humans as they are, or if they will try to stop human expansion. We have already decided that we will continue. We will work. We will build. We will solve problems. And we will do it peacefully, if possible. But we will do it regardless of what the galaxy decides. Rex sat back down. He thought about his report. He thought about what he would tell the council. He thought about the future and what it might hold if humans continued to expand, and humans continued to solve problems, and humans continued to refuse to give up even when opposition seemed overwhelming. I will protect your secret, Rex said finally. I will not tell the council about you unless you want me to. Lucas showed genuine surprise. Why? Because Rex said, I believe that humanity represents the most interesting development in the galaxy in the last 1,000 years. And I believe that the wider galaxy is not ready for that information yet. But it will be, eventually. And when that day comes, it will be important that humans are already established, already successful, already accepted by at least some species. Then, when the galaxy tries to control you or destroy you, you will have allies. That will matter. 2 weeks later, Lucas stood on the bridge of his repaired ship and looked at the messages that had arrived. Offers of work. Requests for help. Some messages were respectful. Some were demanding. Some were hostile. Some were curious. Each message represented a species discovering what humans could do and trying to determine what to do with that information. Grace studied the messages with him. She was good at understanding what messages meant beyond their words. She could read the threat underneath a polite request. She could read the respect underneath an aggressive demand. The Mylar are asking again, Grace said, pointing at one message. They want us to solve their agricultural problem. They are offering payment that is above our usual rate. They tried to kill us 3 months ago, Daniel reminded her from the engineering station. Yes, Grace said, but they have learned that we are valuable. They have decided that cooperation is better than conflict. This is progress. Susan reviewed the medical information from the rescue. The beings on the station had different biologies. Some breathed methane. Some required specific radiation levels. Some needed pressurized environments. Humans had worked in and around all of these systems without difficulty. This flexibility was unusual. Most species could only work in their specific environmental requirements. The stations are reporting that human workers are asking to stay, Susan said. Some of them want permanent positions. Some want to establish human settlements. The local governments are divided. Some see this as an opportunity. Some see this as an invasion. Christopher was young, but he understood the bigger picture better than many older humans. He had read the reports from Earth. He knew what was coming. More humans are coming, Christopher said simply. Word has spread back to Earth. The galaxy is opening. Humans want to be part of it. The governments on Earth are negotiating with the Galactic Council. Within a year, Earth will be recognized as a spacefaring civilization. Within 5 years, there will be thousands of humans in space. Within 20 years, there will be human colonies on dozens of worlds. Lucas listened to his crew and understood that the moment of decision had arrived. They could continue as they were, 8 humans solving problems one contract at a time. Or they could become something larger. They could become the beginning of human presence in the galaxy. They could work to ensure that when the larger human migration began, the galaxy would be ready for it, would be prepared for it, would accept it. We accept the Mylar contract, Lucas said, and the others that represent genuine opportunities. We need to expand. We need more crew. We need to establish a reputation so solid that opposition becomes harder. We need to show the galaxy that humans are not a threat. We are simply a new species that is good at solving problems. Patrick agreed. We should establish a base. A place where humans can gather and work and prepare for the larger movement that is coming. This ship is good, but it is a ship. We need something permanent. Victoria had already thought about this. There is a station in the Outer Rim. It is abandoned. It was damaged in the old wars. It is not claimed by any major power. We could take it. We could repair it. We could make it into a hub for human operations. Robert and Susan exchanged looks. They had worked together long enough to communicate without words. It would take resources we do not have, Robert said. Credits, equipment, time. But if we take the Mylar contract and the 4 others that are waiting, Susan said, we will have enough resources. It is possible. It is not easy, but it is possible. Grace looked at Lucas. After 2 years together, she could read what he was thinking. You are worried about something, Grace said. Yes, Lucas admitted. I am worried that we are moving too fast. I am worried that by trying to prepare the galaxy for humanity, we might cause the opposition that we are trying to prevent. I am worried that there are forces and factions that do not want humanity to succeed. I am worried that we might be walking into a situation that is more dangerous than anything we have faced. Yes, Amanda said, stepping onto the bridge from the observation deck. The human crew was surprised to see her. The Catherine officer had requested permission to observe the humans at work. She had been approved for limited access. But now she was here, and she had clearly overheard the conversation. I have come to offer you something, Amanda said. Commander Vrex has authorized me to speak for him. The Catherine civilization recognizes that humans represent a unique opportunity for the galaxy. We also recognize that there are forces that fear this development. We are prepared to offer diplomatic support, not military assistance, but recognition, formal acknowledgement that humanity is a civilization worthy of respect. This will not stop all opposition, but it will make opposition harder. Lucas felt something shift in his understanding of the situation. This was not just about 8 humans anymore. This was about the beginning of something larger. This was about the moment when an entire species stepped from isolation into the wider galaxy. This was about the moment when forces that opposed change began to move against forces that accepted change. Tell Commander Vrex that we accept his offer, Lucas said. Tell him that the humans will remember Catherine's support. Tell him that when we have established ourselves, there will be opportunities for cooperation between our species. Amanda nodded. He expected nothing less. He also wanted me to tell you something personal. He said that in his 30 years of military service, he has learned that the truly dangerous force in any conflict is not the one with the biggest weapons or the most power. It is the one with the strongest commitment to survival. Humans, he said, have that commitment. You will change the galaxy, whether the galaxy wants to be changed or not. You should be prepared for that responsibility. After Amanda left the bridge, the human crew sat in silence. Lucas understood what Vrex meant. Humans would succeed, not because they were superior, but because they would not stop trying, because they would adapt, because they would solve problems. Because they would show up when others said it could not be done. Because they would be reliable. Outside the viewports, the galaxy stretched in all directions. Billions of stars. Thousands of species. Centuries of established power structures and alliances and conflicts. And somewhere out there, more humans were preparing to join the fight. More humans were learning what this universe held. More humans were getting ready to take their place among the stars. Lucas turned to his crew. We have work to do, Lucas said. Let us begin. The human ship changed course and moved toward the Mylar system. Behind them, the Kethran vessel followed. Other ships from other species watched from the darkness between stars. Some were curious. Some were concerned. Some were hostile. But none of them could stop what was beginning. A new species had entered the galactic community. A species that had been born in fire and shaped by endless struggle. A species that solved problems and persisted through difficulty. A species that would change the galaxy simply by being themselves and doing what they did best. The age of humanity in the stars had truly begun, and the galaxy would never be quite the same.